Hey guys, I'm just gonna smoke some weed, talk about some ideas I had, because if I don't, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. I have a whole bunch of stuff here. Hopefully, I didn't delete it. Okay, first of all, I turned on my notifications to interact with you guys. What happens is my first notification is a video about from Honey Badger, who I was very glad to see she was still around. But then I watched the video and she's complaining about Ollie Matthews having made a video mentioning her, and she wanted it deleted. And I was like, oh my god. Now I remember why I stopped reading comments. I didn't want to get dragged into that. I wanted to recover. I wanted to figure out what happened. And I said, my god, if every time I'm making a few steps forward in my mind, I have people dragging me back because they're not trying to recover, or I don't know what's going on, it's not going to bode well. So I stopped notifications. So then and now after seeing Honey Badgers, I was like, my god, I'm afraid to look again. Oh, guys, I gotta tell you something, man. I don't know if I'll be able to convey this to you. At the beginning, I felt schizophrenic, psychotic, losing touch with reality. I was in really big trouble. And I kind of forgot why. I couldn't really explain it until I remembered a couple of days ago. It came back to me. How did it come back to me? If I can remember. Oh, yes. Okay. When I was a teenager, we had this expression that we'd throw around. The guys were hanging out. Your mother's a whore. Your mother's a whore. Now, I'm pretty sure I heard that my whole life. Different places, right? Different cultures use a similar expression. But a couple of days ago, I had this thought where, like, wait a second. Maybe they were actually gaslighting. Maybe they were just messing with me. Maybe everyone in my neighborhood knew my mother was a whore. And maybe I thought they were throwing it around because I was not aware that it was really only being directed at me, and then maybe I was throwing it back. But then I thought, no, man, your mother's a whore. They say it in Greek. They have an expression in Italian. That's just a common thing you insult someone with. Okay, so there I am in this situation, and I'm still there, where I don't know if it's in my mind or it's in their mind. You see what I mean? I don't know if people were messing with me or if I'm messing with myself. Now, when I first got traumatized, guys, I had thousands of these memories and thoughts. So I didn't know where reality started and where reality ended. And that was as close as I've ever been to feeling, I guess, 100%. Either, I think it's psychotic. I'm not sure. Schizophrenic. I'm not sure. But I was really in trouble, man. Until I started to piece things together. And it took me, I think, more than a year of running around in the street, basically just running from my past, just trying to think, hours and hours. And slowly, as I started to put the pieces in the right place in my mind, I started to get a grip on reality again. And those missing pieces, the few, like I just explained, your mother's a whore. Maybe there's still about 20 of these things where I'm not sure if it's in my mind or if it's true. It's not very comforting. It's like every time I think about those things, I begin to feel a little crazy because I don't know. And I may never know. And that's one reason why I cannot see my mother ever again. Because, God forbid, she tries to tell me that everything I know is wrong And she has this whole fabricated story with her friends, all a big scam to try to make me think I'm crazy again. Because that's what she was trying to do, right? And that's why I can never see her, and that's why just the thought of her makes me ill. What kind of a woman tries to make, first of all, kills one son, abandons the, I mean, it's beyond borderline. It's crazy. I think she's a sociopath, a pure sociopath. Oh my God, I have a good one, guys, for you. I'm glad you're here. I feel shit. I'm going to sleep after this for 2 days. I swear to God. I'm depressed. Anyways, let me tell you. I even forgot. My father. My father, I told you, was a psychopath, child molester, boy rapist. You know what he used to tell me when I was young? This is how he raised me. This is how my sick father raised me. He would tell me, maybe when I got angry at him, I don't know. He said, it's better to be feared than to be liked. It's better to be feared than to be liked. Now, who would say that other than a psychopath, other than a mafia, other than a gang member, other than a real sick son of a bitch? It's better to be feared than to be liked. Now that explains to you why I am the way I am. When you have a father who believes that it's better his kids are scared to death of him than to like him, the other things are they're too dark. I don't want to go there. Oh, Stewie, man. Okay, I'll talk about this one because it's about this. I won't talk about the other ones, but when it comes to the narcissist, false self, I've been trying to think why I don't think I developed the false self. But I know certain people who definitely developed the false self. I mean, I know one guy who lives in a different city. I would love to profile him for you guys, but he's the kind of guy who would find it, and I don't really want to hurt him. I don't think against him. But he has got the real hardcore. I mean, he's got it just like my mother, only he's not. I know he's on the internet, so he's. I wish I can tell you guys about him, but I won't. I'll spare him his privacy. I've ruined other people's privacy. But let me tell you something. So I was thinking, how do people develop a false self, and why didn't I? And I figured it out. Well, I didn't figure it out. I was working back from the literature. If you're neglected, you can develop into a narcissist or a sociopath or a psychopath, or if you're overvalued and you're spoiled. So I'm thinking, okay, how does it work? This is what I think. I think narcissism, if you're neglected, we'll start with that. You're neglected, so you have nothing. I mean, you're neglected by your family. You don't have toys. You don't get to watch TV. You don't know all the movies. You don't know anything. You don't have nice clothes. And you go to school. Start playing with the kids in the neighborhood. And they're talking about stuff you just can't compete with. And a little kid, you just want to make yourself as good as everyone else. So if you can't touch them, you're so neglected that you can't relate. I mean, there's just nothing there. Your friends are going on vacations with their parents maybe or something, and they have a country house, and you live in some apartment where your father is selling your mother as a pimping out your mother, and they're abusing you along the way. I mean, so I can see where this kid would develop these lies about his family, about where he comes from, about maybe why he has bruises or she has bruises. I mean, He's a boxer, for instance, or she's a horseback rider. She fell off the horse. She's wealthy. I mean, all these things they may have to use not only as excuses to cover for perhaps signs of abuse, but also just for their own shame of not having anything. So, you can see where a neglected child who has nothing and lives in poverty or is just treated as if they were poor, can develop a false self. So you look at someone who's spoiled, and it's a different dynamic. But it's similar, but it's within the family, I think. In this case, you're a spoiled kid, and your parents expect the most from you, right? To give you everything. They think if they give you everything, they're telling you, we're giving you everything. We want you to be a doctor. We want you to be this. We want you to be that. You're not a doctor. My brother's a great example, but we won't make it personal. It's not you for whatever it is, and they're forcing you in. So, what I've seen happen in other cases, it's not my brother did not do this. He's borderline. He didn't develop a false self. But the ones I've seen who have, it's this dynamic where what they do is they're amongst this family with such demands that they start lying to their family. Just like they were lying to their kids, they start telling their family they're doing very well in school when they're not even going to school. We just had a kid who murdered his 4 family members. Kid, he's 21 years old. He murdered his entire family after going on social media and saying he felt like a loser. He felt like he let everyone down and he has no worth. So his parents put all this into him, but it was conditional. So he felt, in reality, he didn't stack up to his parents' expectations. So when you're neglected, you don't stand up to your peers' expectations. When you're spoiled, I think you don't stand up to your parents' expectations. And in both cases, you develop a false self. And I think the reason why a borderline does not develop a false self, or at least in my case, I was thinking, well, I was not given unrealistic expectations. I was treated like a black sheep. My father always used to tell me I'm not special. You're not special. But I still got food, I got nice clothes, I got everything. So I didn't have unrealistic expectations. I was able to mix in with my friends because I looked like they did. And for all intents and purposes, I had parents like they did. So as a kid, that's all you have to know. And I guess really what it comes down to is that it's my father and my mother always telling me I'm not special, and that I can't do anything, that if it's 1 in a million, it's never going to be me, stuff like that. I mean, everything was negative. So how could I develop a false self? I don't have to develop a false self with my parents. And with my friends, my parents covered that with the basics. The narcissism made sure that we looked and we could fit in, so the community would not know what the parents were all about. Anyhow, it is a very, very lonely life. I do not feel ready to have relationships again. And I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. But on certain nights like tonight, it's not a good thing. I feel very lonely just when I think about my bro. And I think about my previous life before all this happened. 4 years ago now. I'll tell you one thing, guys. I have come a long way. I was a pure borderline. I mean, I have borderline now, and I have symptoms of borderline. But I don't think if I ran through the checklist, I would qualify anymore. I have the anger, but there's a lot of things that maybe, I don't know. But I don't think so. When I think about how I was when my brother was alive and we were competing and there was all this narcissism in the family and I was enmeshed in it, I was a basket case. I mean, I have not done hard drugs in over a year because I haven't felt the need to escape anything. I'll probably do them once this summer just because it's a little bit boring and I kind of wouldn't mind tripping out twice. But look, it's almost the end of the summer now and I haven't done it. It's unbelievable. When I was with my family and enmeshed, I always needed to be looking for the next major buzz, whether it was ecstasy at a party, or smoking crack, or doing speed, or mushrooms, or acid, or extracting DMT and smoking it, or brewing ayahuasca, finding ketamine. I mean, I can go on. I can go on and on. So, I've come a long way, but I kind of miss the crazy. I miss having a. I guess I miss being lost a little bit. It was crazy. It was crazy. I never had to face reality. And reality is very, very, very depressing these days. You know, I'm glad we're all in the same boat because, guys, I'm telling you, I'm 49. 30 years ago, we all had hope. Any one of us could have opened a business pretty easily and succeeded quite well. Today, everything is, it's taken, man. It's like, even the marijuana business was legalized. Only millionaires got into the business because to have a license, an application, and facilities costs you $500,000. You can't even open a convenience store because then like the 7-Eleven comes and buys you out or opens one next to you. Everything else is on the internet. Even web design. I mean, very few companies need a website anymore. Or if they do, they already have one. Or they just use Wix or one of these things. It's really a different world. And there's not a lot of hope because even if I developed a cure for cancer, I'm pretty sure nobody would ever get to know about it. They wouldn't believe me. They call it fake news. Somebody would try to hurt me to steal it. I mean, it's just that kind of world that the psychopaths have taken over. Basically, the sick psychopaths have taken over, and they're just leading us all into. You know, they've led us into a position, I believe, where we're just best off surviving and not trying to beat the system. That's what I was trying to do, and it was beating me down. And I'm just going to leave it off with something about Jordan Peterson, because I have not made a video about him, but it's one of my other channels that I'm going to make a video on, just on Jordan Peterson, because this guy is all about everything that I was about. And that's go, 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 and make yourself a man, and, you know, get your career and don't waste your life, and all this stuff that I was brought up on that made me miserable. Well, it makes Jordan Peterson miserable too. He's had depression his whole life, untreatable depression. So what is this guy doing as a self-help guru? He has no right. He has no right. It's like me putting out a video on emotional stability. I mean, give me a break. Anyways, all right, guys. Okay, there's one more thing if you're watching. I'm going to tell you guys this. From watching all this psychopaths and learning about psychopaths, I learned how to think like a psychopath. And I had the thought the other day that came to me, and I was like, wow, I really learned a lot. Good for me. Two things happened, I'll tell you. One, I was down eating at my place that feeds me, and they had cans, 20-cent cans they were giving out. Like, people were drinking. So basically there was hundreds of these cans out there, or thousands, in the recycling. And I'm eyeing these thinking, my God, there's like, that money will last me 2 weeks. So I go and I grab a bag and I make it out with the bag. I think this is amazing. I get home and I'm thinking, dude, man, think like a psychopath. There's more bags down there. Get off your ass, go back down and grab some more. And I'm thinking, should I? Nah, I've already taken enough, like. So by the way, it's not like they're going to miss it, right? This place has like $1 million budgets. So they were just going to put it there. So I'm thinking, should I go? Should I? I'm thinking, you know what, man, go. Think like a psychopath. Just grab it. Don't be stupid. They talk about psychopaths. At the beginning, I used to hear some of them say that they would think people were stupid by leaving things on the table, by not being greedy. Because you don't be greedy, man. You can use the money and you can use the break. So I ran back down. I grabbed another 2 bags. I'm like, this is great. The next day I go down, and they had them again. And this time I just went, fuck it, man, Psychopath City. And I just grabbed them all and I ran. I just ran. I didn't even care if people were chasing me. I was like, I'm taking this. So that was about 2 weeks ago, and I didn't have to work for about 2 weeks. I ran out of them yesterday. Now let me tell you the other way, because that's not so good. So there's these 2 guys who are on the run. Stupid kids, white supremacists. They killed a couple of innocent people on the roads, and now they're wanted. There's a manhunt for a week, and they're not found. Now they're both 6'4", and I was thinking, my God, what would I do if I'm them? They're psychopaths, I guess. I don't know, something's wrong with their freaking head, but if I was in their mind, I was trying to think they must be scared to death because they know the whole world's looking for them, and when they get caught, they're spending the rest of their life in jail. So there's no escaping. And the fact they're both 6'4", it's pretty hard to miss 2 guys walking down the street who are 6'4", who are wanted, right? So I'm thinking, what would I do if I was one of them? And the answer came to me right away. And I said, dude, I've learned from the psychopath videos some pretty awful lessons, but pretty smart. I said, I know exactly what I would do. You know what I would do? What would you do? If you had just killed 3 people, and you were wanted for first-degree murder, and you and your buddy, your compadre, were on the run, what would you do? You know what I would do? If I didn't want to, you know what a psychopath would do? He would shoot his buddy in the head, and then call the cops and say, I just escaped. I was not involved in any of the killings. This guy is crazy. I was his friend, but then he pulled a gun on me and said, we're going to kill people. And I tried to run a few times, but he always caught me, and he's stronger than me, and I just managed to get there anyways. And just at least you might get down to 2nd-degree murder. You might even get off. So that's the last most sick thought I'm going to leave you with, because it's not a really nice thought, but my thoughts are not always that nice, and on nights when I'm missing my bro,